Netflix picked it up. It came out in December in Japan. So it's like a 3-month turnaround. That's cool.
Yeah. It's pretty soon.
It's part of obviously Netflix's like $8 million worth of anime for 2018. It's been a mixed bag though. Of course, like coming out, we had Devilman, which we loved and did a video on.
Yep.
But then, it's like we're getting like 7 Deadly Sins season 2 and then like this. And this is interesting. Like, I like that they went for it and they're like, FMA is never, like, Netflix looked at it as like, well, FMA has never steered us wrong. We'll buy this movie.
It was a big meaty, it was a good investment.
Yeah. What did you think, Brie?
I mean, it's been like a good 13 years since I've watched Full Metal Alchemist. And it's just, I remember the anime, but just like diving into the live action, it's just like, I don't really remember this. Like, what's going on? Like, the way the characters were designed in the movie, it's just like, it's not what I remembered. It's like Edward, the main character, he had like this strawberry blonde like orange, and I'm just like, who the hell is this guy? And then listening to Al, he's like this childlike brother, but he sounds like fucking Koichi from JoJo, and I'm just like...
Too deep.
I'm like, all right, this is already turning downhill. Yeah. Let's see how the rest of the movie goes. And then like other characters... Can we talk about how when she had a brunette?
Oh yeah, just jumped in.
Not blonde. I'm just like, okay, I've given up all hope. Like 3 characters that I've known and love, and they're just...
Yeah, it was very Frankenstein. Like, you felt like a one little piece was taken out of each of them, and you're like, I don't... Okay?
It's weird, because, like, not even just the design itself, it's just how the characters were, like, portrayed and, like, how they even acted. Like, fuck, Hawkeye? She didn't have, like, a single...
They never even called her Lieutenant Hawkeye.
Yeah.
They were just, like, Lieutenant. So, just like, okay, what are you even doing with this movie? I mean, like, there were a couple characters that were actually on point. I mean, Lust and Envy, they were... spot on. And then Hugh, he...
How many times are we gonna have to watch Mae Hughes die? How many different ways? How many different times?
From how many different people, right? Like, you gotta stretch the pain a little bit more.
But no, I know what you mean, because it's like, what is it, in Ace Attorney, which we love, like, they just took it all the way, and it was funny, and it was like, oh, they went all anime on them, but, like, that leads into the joke of this, because they went back and forth with it, was like, okay, so, like, Ed looks like they really went for the anime character, but then Winry, they were just like, she's just a girl.
She's just here.
Yeah, like...
They didn't even have her fixing the automail
No, they're just throwing her and there's like, you're a girl, he's a boy, just...
I mean, the actress was cute and, like, killing it, but, like, it was just kind of like, I don't know where you're wanting this to land as far as, like...
Yeah,
and they weren't trying to make Al, like, too child, like, they're making him like a youth, but they needed, the whole point was he's the younger brother. They needed to play that up a little bit more.
Yeah,
I mean, the way he sounded, it seemed like he was kind of like the older brother. Just that's how it felt like to me. It's like, which one's the eldest now? Like, it was throughout the movie, I was just like, okay, I know Edward's the oldest brother, but it's just the way Al sounds. Who's who?
The whole joke is that it's not obvious to the viewer, but it is obvious to the viewer, you know what I mean? Like, you assume, but you don't, because you hear, the giant suit of armor speak one word, and you're like, oh, okay, well, he's the kid.
One thing I did find really funny, it was like, when they mentioned, like, oh yeah, Edward, he's like, he's pretty small, and then there's one scene where he's just saying, like, right next to this one guy, and I'm like, how small is he? Like, are we looking at the wrong person?
There were other people who were shorter than him. That wasn't a good call, casting.
For all I know, that actor is 30, too, honestly, like...
Put the guy on a block. We're not, like, there weren't enough, like, shots.
Yeah. When they did that flashback with him as an adult rather than, like, using the child actress, which was, like, it's a decision, but it was just questionable for sure.
Right. It was a decision, exactly. It's a lot of decisions. But cinematography-wise, I mean, there was some... They used the animation when they could.
Yeah, that's the thing. They very much, like, showed in some scenes that, like, we have the ability to do good effects, but I think it, like, I mean, I haven't been able to find anything, like, of what the budget of this movie was, but it was clearly just, like, we only had money for some things, like, like, you talked, like, the spear, like, they're missing the wings, and, like, they use the earth effects, and, like, sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not, like... That whole Italy scene seems to have been made, like I would say even by an almost different director. Like, or at least at a different time. Like, it seemed like they shot that and were like, yeah, can we make an FMA movie now? And then they went and did the rest. Like, him, like, the physics of, like, him bouncing off of, like, Earth and stuff. the beasts were strange in the way that, like, you know, like he used the spear to, like, block their mouth, but they had to, like, move the 3D model back a lot. And,
Right.
like, it got caught on its, like, teeth.
A lot of strange.
Yeah, just a lot of, like, strange things. The fire in Italy was just an explosion, which is... that's exactly how I do it, because it'd be super easy to do.
Yeah.
But then in the later scenes, they were able to do, like, the trail of fire, and I'm like, okay, so, like, you figured it out, but you just didn't spend the time and or the money earlier to have done that. And so, like, there was just a lot of stuff throughout. Cinematography was weird in the sense that, like, sometimes the camera would land and be static, and it was like, okay, we got a good piece of composition there. And then it would move, and clearly the director just was like, well, we need these two characters in the shot. Like, just do whatever does it to include them. I think the aspect ratio just really fucked them up a lot, because they did it like in super ultra wide, and there were a lot of scenes where, like, they would have to just, like, oh, we want to do, like, the scene with Ed with the spear, and it's, like, from the ground up, and they just had to, like, take the frame and go, like, this, but it was, like, way too much.
Dutch angle, like, right?
It was like, yeah, you're Dutch angling on, like, you know, like, anamorphic, like, widescreen, and that it seems really strange, especially since it was all, you know, digital camera.
You were even saying too, like, throughout the movie, you were just saying, like, man, I really hate when people are, like, kind of cut, like, it was like two characters like just cutting their legs off entirely.
Was that just me, or was it they too close?
No, I don't think they were too close on certain things. I think sometimes they had wigs in the face and stuff like that. It was like, okay, like, you've given me a close up where I would be looking at the, you know, acting going on the, you know, the performer's face, but, like, you've got this really just shitty looking wig that I can't stop looking at.
Don't zoom in. Don't zoom in on the weaknesses.
Yeah, I mean, there were some good Japanese, you know, kind of, you know, typical Japanese things where they would have, you know, like, a character, like, you know, just their breast in the shot, and then they would show their face, and it was like, oh, they've been emotionlessly, like, staring at the screen the whole time. But then that shot would just linger because they had nowhere else to put the camera, and it was like, okay, you didn't think it all the way through.
Nope.
The good thing, what I will say, though, is a good thing about the pacing during the start of the movie is that it was unflinching and really rewarding to somebody who was aware of the series. I mean, even at the start, I was like, well, geez, we're not going to explain alchemy much, are we?
Nope.
Like, we're just going to rock and roll.
We just call Mustang the Flame Alchemist, and they never really explain, like, anything.
Yeah, there's a lot of momentum, and we all who even have just, like, a casual interpretation of the series, you know, I watched all of it, read all of it, but that was a while ago. I was sitting there and, like, as it was rolling, I was like, oh, yeah, okay, all right. I was all in. You know, I didn't have to, like, call them out on things. It was very comfortable. Yeah, you know?
If you had the nostalgia to attach to it, like, it did reward you for that.
Yeah. But then we got to the tunnel. The tunnel, where the movie decided to do its own thing. And that was,
kind of switched into gears. It's like, oh, things are going well, and then right in the tunnel, it's going down.
Yeah, and like we were talking about, too, like, that's the point where, like, they make the most changes to the story. Like, they do a mix-up with Hughes and with Tucker, but it's like, okay, the same thing happened, we just kind of changed the details for a movie, and we're like, okay, that's gonna help it connect. But it ends up just being like, okay, we're just off the rails here.
Yeah,
like,
its own thing.
Yeah.
You know, I will say, I think one of my favorite scenes, and probably only favorite scenes, throughout the entire, not giving the movie shade, but the only favorite scene I really have to say is kind of the brotherly relationship that Ed and Al have.
Invested the most in that.
Yeah, in the warehouse. It's like, this is right after, like, when Ed and Winry went off, and they come back, and Al's just kind of like questioning everything. He's like, are you my brother? Like, all these sauce memories, and it's just like a battle and like so much tension, and I'm just like, okay, I'm kind of feeling, because like throughout the movie I didn't really feel that like drama or like
emotional energy.
Yeah, that I felt like watching the series, but like it was this scene, and only kind of this scene where I was just like, okay, I feel this.
Right. They invested in it. I say that I was saying when I went and grabbed a drink, was that it was the longest continuous scene in the movie, other than, let's say, the fight scene at the end, and it was a brotherly squabble.
Yeah, I mean, it's the only scene Al got, so.
Exactly. So, yeah, we were all hoping for that. But yeah, ultimately, in the end, this Fullmetal Alchemist live-action movie ended up being just sort of this undecided grab bag. It was taking what it believed to be the best parts, and granted it got some, towards the end it got, like, you know, Roy and Lust's confrontation, it sneaked in Envy's death, and then it also pulled out, I don't know, like there was the whole immortal army from episode 51 of Brotherhood, or the end of the manga in this first movie, and like, laboratory
It was
fight.
strange, yeah. And like there are just other things they could have done. They could have just fought a giant chimera or something.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
There seemed to be this desire to grab the best of the entire series.
Yeah, it's like I better play with all the toys so somebody else can't, you know?
Right,
Yeah.
but then at the end, they still tied it up with the possibility of a sequel, and screw that, there is gonna be a sequel.
Yeah, they announced a sequel before it even came out.
Which
but,
means they were already filming it.
yeah, I mean that's the thing. It's already filmed. I don't know if they'll get that third one though. Honestly,
No.
We'll
Like,
see. So,
No.
yeah, but the only thing that worries me, really, other than sort of the end, sort of like, you know, really like gutting itself, was the fact that they omitted a lot of like strangely important things. There wasn't even really a good fight scene with Edward. He never did the sword on his automail.
Yeah, I think
That's
again they
like,
ran out of
what
money.
a
Like
what?
they just.
And they even, when he summoned the spear at the start, for the trailer shot,
Yeah.
for God's sakes, they forgot the wings on the spear.
Yeah, it was not ornate. It
Exactly.
didn't. Which I mean, the whole
It's the
point of it
whole
being
point.
ornate is that he's very skilled at alchemy,
Right.
and that didn't translate.
So
yeah.
it was interesting to see a movie that wanted to have it all, you know, so to speak, grab the best parts that it thought it could fit in, but then not polish any of them.
Not at all.
So it was strung together, I think, is the best way to put it.
I think the best way to put it is just like you're gonna get what you get from almost any anime live action movie at this point.
At these days, we were talking about it afterwards.
Yeah, it's
Still, to this day, Tokyo Inferno is up there. Like,
Kyoto
we're not gonna lie.
Inferno,
yeah.
Kyoto Inferno, but then,
and then Ace Attorney came out in 2012.
Number one. It's still number one. There's not another movie that nails a live-action anime
Nope.
adaptation quite like Ace Attorney, and we're really hopeful, you know, all these new
Yeah,
things
I
coming
mean,
out.
FMA is one of the most beloved, and it's always kind of stood on its own as like, you know, it's not super anime. It's really not.
Right,
Like,
right. There's a lot of ammo there. They can
Yeah.
use a lot of things, but they pulled a blank, unfortunately.
眠れない